I want to challenge myself by sticking to a goal and focusing only on one project. That goal being to produce a postcard, or at least a set of postcards. I wanted to use one camera, one film stock, and one paper to produce postcards that I can send out to family members and even subscribers. If you want to get subscribed and talk to me on Instagram, you want to be on the list, I might actually send some of these out if I'm successful. But I think it would be fun to just pick a series of cameras and focus on a single photography project where I'm not jumping all over the map. Because if you go through my history of videos, you'll probably notice there's no continuity whatsoever. So these are Folding Brownie 3As. These are two of the main variants of the box style version. The single element meniscus and a double element rapid rectilinear. Both of these are Bosch and Lomb lenses. This one's better for getting that a shallower depth of field kind of look, where this is better stopped down, so it's more for landscape stuff. There was add-on lenses with these cameras. I have one. I've just never been successful with it, where you're able to pop it on the front and it turns the camera into a portrait camera. It gives you a new set of scales for the zone focusing on the side here. But I've not been successful. Every time I've tried to use it, I've ended up with blurred images. It's not very good. So today's episode is going to be all about the backing paper and trying to get the backing paper stamped out with the exact frame number locations taken from a existing Verichrome backing paper and transferring it to my DIY backing paper. In a future video on this series on this channel, I'm going to be showing you how I made this backing paper at home with things that I bought off Amazon. So get subscribed for that, and I'll have that coming out here shortly. It'll be the next video after this one's released, before I actually release a video on the results from using this paper with the Agfa Ep01 and one of these cameras. I haven't decided if I'm going to focus on the rapid rectilinear version or the single element meniscus, but that'll be for a future me decision. Right now, let's get started on this. All right, starting off here, there's quite a bit going on this table, but I wanted to go through them slowly. The bits and pieces here. Sorry for the crude drawing, but that's me trying to make a frame on paper to kind of demonstrate the difference in size of an actual frame on film versus one of my glass plates, because I've yet to actually use this camera with film. I'm slowly putting this all together. In the next video, I'll do a video about making the backing paper, and towards the end of the series, I'll do a video on me capturing actual photos on film. Even if I don't end up using my backing paper, I have backing paper to do this with. So first off, the Verichrome pan that I have here, I have a couple of different types. This is an older Verichrome 5 or Verichrome V. I'm not really sure what the V stands for, if it's 5 or if it's actually just V. But the Verichrome that I have here, the numbers almost are identical to this later Verichrome, this newer stock of Verichrome. But while I was doing research for this and actually doing various measurements for the Alvista 3B, I found out that 101 film backing paper is the same as the 122. The only main difference being is the location of the backing paper frame numbers. 101 has it almost dead center, whereas the 122 stuff has it on the top and on the bottom of the backing paper. This could be an issue for anybody who's trying to make that, but if you're going to be playing with both 101 and 122, you only have to cut your film one size. Going back to a previous video, I talked about me bringing 101 back, and I used my bit of glass as my template for cutting my Agfa Ep01 Pan 200. This still applies. This will work with 122. Matter of fact, the film that I decided to measure out here normally would be about 38 or so inches long. I just went for the full 40, and that gets you 6 exposures on 122 film. That really helps out because that means that you can just cut your Agfa Ave photo down to the same 3.5 inch width and use it on 101, 122. I'm not sure what all is available in that kind of realm. Kodak used that size for a few cameras. I'm not sure how many, but at least 122 and 101 are the same. The same goes for the spools, which I don't have one right in front of me right now. So 101, both 101 and 122 use this same spool. So you can interchange them if that's something that you can do. I think there's a Hawkeye that used 101 film. The All Vista 3B used the 101. I'm not really sure all of the different versions, but pretty nice. You can use the same film stock and then just change out the backing paper depending on what you want to use it for. So for stamping this, I'm using just plain old acrylic paint. Acrylic paint should be inert once it's fully dried. The key there is fully dried. Don't do this on a rush and then think you're going to be spooling that night. You'll ruin your film. Trust me, this is by experience. Do not use it the same day. Matter of fact, give it 2 or 3 days to dry out in a non-humid environment. This is not 100% necessary, but if you want to name it, name your film or put your own logo on it, you can design and 3D print your own stamps. I'm just, every other company that's re-spooled some aerial film or whatever has put their own logo on it. I'm just doing the same thing, just falling in line with everybody else. A couple of different stamp setups. I couldn't find very many arrows that I liked online. So this is the arrow that I chose for the advanced arrow that you'll see on the frames. And then I got a set of alphabet set of rubber stamps for the backing numbers. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. This is all on Amazon. I'll put links for this stuff in the description. None of it's going to be affiliate because I don't have an affiliate account set up or anything. So it's just regular links. While I was doing research for this, I noticed that the frame for at least this particular camera, which is what I'm making it all for, the Folding Brownie 3A, the top 2 numbers and top 2 arrows are the only ones that seem to come in contact with the frame. All the rest of this I'm going to omit. I put all the measurements in a document which will be linked down in the description. If you want to reproduce all of the same numbers and you don't have a way for you to quickly and easily copy the numbers over, I just used a measuring tape and a T-square to map out each one and their location, which is all going to be in that document. Again, link in the description. The way I'm going to do it today is I'm going to use a tool I just made up where it takes a point from the upper old stock and gives me a reference point onto where I'm going to put it on the lower my backing paper at. So all I have to do is line up each part, stamp it, then move to the next section and do the same thing again and stamp it. Then move over, stamp, move up, stamp, and keep going all the way down the line. So I'm not actually having to do any measurements here. It's just quick and dirty. I'm just copying over from what I need. So a lot quicker than trying to measure it out. But if you don't have that, link in the description. 3rd, 4th time I've said it. But this is in my way and I want to get rid of it. So we're going to move past that. Clean up some of this off of the table so we can get started on what I'm going to do. I didn't really talk too much about it, but I thought I'd go over it a little bit here. I used glass plates and made my own emulsion to originally when I tried out this camera, I was making glass plates for it. This is slightly bigger than what a normal frame would be in. Normally with a 122, your measurement for the frame is like 3 3/4 of an inch tall by about 6 inches wide. The actual imaging area is more like 3 1/4 by 5.5 inches. And that's why I made this dopey little drawing that I got here. That's perspective is completely screwed on. But I wanted to demonstrate the difference between the actual what it should be versus what I have here. This will line up right directly over top and you can see where the border is. So the glass plate is of course slightly bigger than what you would actually get. So Okay, real quick before we move on to the using the stamps and all. On the older versions of the Verichrome, I noticed that they used dots instead of arrows or the Verichrome pan name. I found that a Q-tip will work just fine for creating a dot, and you can just quickly run through and make your dots for, if you want to just skip using this, a cheap way to get it through is just, you know what you're making, so you know where everything's going to be at, so it does not matter. You don't have to go as fancy as this, just using a Q-tip, dab into the paint, and then dab it at your location and move on. And you can quickly, churn out a few rolls and not have to worry about it. But if you want to be a little bit more fancy, I'll put links to what I purchased from Amazon in the description, and then you can follow along. All right. I'm going to pour a little bit of this out on my paper plate here. You don't really need anything fancy, just something that's not going to bleed through onto your table, or make sure wherever you're doing this, it's in an area where you don't mind getting paint on stuff. Just to be on the safe side, don't go for a fancy table that you're going to mess up. I only use a little bit at a time because I know this stuff is going to dry out quick. But you want to thin it out a little bit, thin out a little section for you to put your stamps on. And then take your stamp and stamp it on. The way I use this tool over here, as I was talking about it earlier, is I just measure out what I'm copying off of, and there's an equal distance to that same location on here. I have a line already set up on the edge here, and I'm just going to line up the line with the edge of the glass and then stamp. So here we go. And there we go. There's the first one done. Now to do the rest. And that's pretty much it. I believe one thing that I probably should do in the future is to find a way to get foam stamps, because these rubber stamps tend to just, if you put too much pressure, they just push out all of the paint, and you get a more of a silhouette and less of a stamp of it. I got a little bit better by the end of it because I put significantly less pressure than I did when I first did it. And then at the beginning, my second arrow was a little bit too saturated with paint. But other than that, I think it turned out fine, and it should run through the camera just fine. So if you're still interested in this project, get subscribed. My goal here is to try to make postcards using this camera and send one to some family members and just do something like that. Go around town, take some photos, and then print out and make my own postcards. Learn how to fill one out, because I don't think I've ever made a postcard in my life. I honestly can't remember if I did. So, Sky here from the editing room floor. I wanted to get a close-up here to kind of see what the numbers are looking like. And I noticed that the bottommost number with these stamps actually looks like it fills the window pretty well. So you actually probably don't need to do both numbers if you're going to repeat this project. I wish I would have looked at this a little bit sooner. I might have flipped my numbers around. Now all of my numbers are going to be upside down, but I just copied what was already there on the Verichrome, and the numbers would have been upside down regardless. So, yeah. In the future, if you want to learn from my mistake here, if you want to have upright numbers, turn them around 180 degrees. That's pretty much it for this video. I'm going to go ahead and get through with this, let this dry out. Next episode, I'm going to show you how to make the backing paper. Hopefully the episode after that, I'll be making, rolling it up and going out and shooting it, and then doing the final episode of actually making a postcard with this. So it'll be fun. Small little project. Anyways, get subscribed. Thanks for watching. Bye.